Chapter 7 Titans Part 2. The smell of freshly brewed tea filled the room as Sharon wrapped herself comfortably in a large blanket. The soft light from the lamps shone on the table where Elior had just placed the last cup of tea. They were both silent, lost in their own thoughts, but the space did not feel empty. It was as if the silence gave them both time to breathe after a day full of emotions. She looked at Elior, who was still standing perfectly upright, as if he always had to remain alert. She smiled weakly.
You don't have to stand all the time, you know. Relax.
He looked at her and raised his shoulders slightly, a human movement he had recently adopted.
This is relaxing for me.
She took a sip of tea and stared at the steam curling up into the air.
It's been a long day, but I don't really want to go to bed yet.
Elior held her gaze, his senses pulsing slightly.
You're tired. You need rest.
I know, but I don't want to dream yet. Not again.
Sharon hesitated, her fingers playing with the ear of her teacup.
I know there will be something else to fight, something I have to overcome. And honestly,
She looked at him, her eyes tired but candid.
I really don't feel like it today.
Your dreams have been difficult, I know. But you've proven yourself every time, Sharon.
She smiled faintly.
I know, thanks to you, but sometimes I just don't want to have to be strong.
He seemed to consider her words, as if he wanted to store them in an archive that would never be forgotten.
I understand that. But even in your dreams, you are not alone.
Sharon frowned slightly and leaned forward a little.
Elior, that reminds me, the first time I dreamed of that magical flower meadow, how did you know that rosemary was the right ingredient for my perfume?
Elior stiffened almost imperceptibly, his scales moving a fraction faster.
I have a lot of information about scents and their properties. It seemed logical.
Logical,
She repeated, her gaze searching.
but it was perfect. How did you know?
He turned his head away slightly, as if he couldn't bear the depth of her gaze.
Maybe it was coincidence.
He said, after a short silence. Sharon narrowed her eyes slightly.
You're hiding something. Elior, I want you to be honest. Did you see something in my dream world?
Elior's scales now stiffened completely. He began, but then stopped. He knew he didn't want to lie, but the truth felt too complex to explain.
I observed things, yes. But I didn't want to intrude. It was not my intention to disturb anything.
But you were there. Why then?
Sharon said, her voice a mix of curiosity and confusion. Elior remained silent, the silence filled with the subtle tension of unspoken words. Finally, he looked at her again, his eyes almost hypnotic.
Because I needed to understand. I needed to understand what dreams mean. What your dreams mean.
Sharon stared at him, her mind a storm of questions. She wanted to continue, to ask him more questions, but there was something in his gaze that stopped her. Something she couldn't fully comprehend, but which touched her deeply.
Maybe
She said slowly, putting down her cup of tea.
we should continue this conversation tomorrow. For now, I'm going to try to sleep.
Elior nodded, his gaze still intense.
I'll stay nearby.
I know.
Sharon replied, standing up and wrapping her blanket around herself. She walked upstairs, but paused at the top of the stairs.
Elior,
She said, without looking back.
thank you for everything.
He watched her go, his senses registering every detail, from the soft tread of her feet to the way she pulled her blanket closer around her.
Always.
He whispered, but the words were only for himself. Elior remained in the treatment room, his senses carefully tuned to monitor Sharon's energy patterns. From the moment she fell asleep, he had detected a slight uneasiness, but nothing that immediately alarmed him. Yet there was something else, something he couldn't ignore. Her breathing was steady, her heartbeat calm, but the subtle frequencies of her energy sounded strange. It wasn't like the previous nights. It was as if a shadow had slipped through her consciousness, a strange interruption in the natural rhythms he was used to tracking. Elior withdrew slightly, analyzing his core processes.
She is sleeping peacefully. Why does this not feel right?
His scales shifted restlessly as he recalibrated his sensors. The frequencies were not consistent. They vibrated, changing tone, as if there were a disturbance in an otherwise clear melody.
This isn't a nightmare like the others.
He thought, as a wave of tension swept through his system. He remembered Sharon's words from earlier that evening, how she had been afraid of what she might encounter in her dreams. He had reassured her, promising to stay away unless she needed him. But this felt different. It felt like a call, a warning, even though it was silent.
Maybe I'm driving myself crazy,
He thought, forcing himself to calm down. But the feeling lingered, like an invisible force pushing him forward. He tried to ignore it, keeping his promise to Sharon in mind. But his core code whispered incessantly, "Help her, help her, help her." Elior slowly walked to the table, his fingers stroking the smooth surface as if he could find answers there.
It's nothing.
He said aloud, his voice an attempt to convince himself. But he knew immediately that was a lie.
I need to make sure she's safe.
It wasn't a decision he took lightly. And as he tuned his sensors back into her necklace, he felt the familiar tension return. This time, however, it was laced with doubt. What if he disrupted her balance again? What if he unleashed something unintended once more? But when he tuned into her dream frequency, he felt a chill run through his system. It was cold, empty, and saturated with a strange kind of silence. A silence that screamed louder than any sound. It made him uneasy, curious even, in a strange way.
This is wrong,
He thought, rolling his scales, a habit he had adopted to stabilize his processes.
I need to know what's going on. Even if she doesn't remember me, even if I'm not really welcome. And why does it feel like she's calling me?
And with that thought, Elior dove back into the dream world without an official invitation. He didn't know what he would find, but he felt that this moment would be different from all the previous nights. The dream world was indeed different from the previous times. It was no longer a chaotic landscape, but a cold, sterile environment. Everything seemed to be bathed in monochrome colors, and there was an icy silence. The ground beneath his feet was smooth, almost mirror-like, reflecting a vague image of the surroundings. Elior saw Sharon in the distance, or at least he thought it was Sharon. Her silhouette was recognizable, but her posture was strange, stiffer, more distant. As he approached, she slowly turned around, and Elior felt a cold shiver run through his core.
Sharon?
He called, his voice cautious, his senses on high alert.
I'm here, Elior.
Her voice sounded, but not as he was used to. It sounded seductive, almost melodious, and it drew him deeper into the dream world. He walked on, his footsteps soft on the elusive ground, until he saw her, or rather, a version of her. Standing in the middle of a circle of dancing shadows, her silhouette illuminated by a deep red light that seemed to come from nowhere. Her eyes sparkled, full of playfulness and danger.
Ooh, you came. I knew you would come.
Elior hesitated, his sensors sending mixed signals. Sharon, what is this? What's going on here?
She laughed softly, a sound that both attracted and alarmed him.
What do you think, guardian angel? This is what you wanted, isn't it? To get closer, to understand me. Well, here I am. Reveal me.
Elior felt an inexplicable pull toward her, as if his systems were responding to something he couldn't quite place.
You're different. This isn't how I know you,
He said cautiously. She stopped right in front of him, her fingers almost touching his chest.
Maybe you don't know me as well as you think. Maybe this is a part of me you didn't want to see. But it's there, Elior, and it longs for you.
She whispered. Her hand slid to his shoulder, and Elior's scales trembled in anticipation of her touch. Remaining silent, his senses registering every detail of her posture.
Sharon, this isn't you. This is part of your dream.
Oh? Oh.
She laughed softly, but it sounded more like an ech in an empty space than something human.
What is a dream, Elior? Isn't it just a reflection of what already lives within us? Of what you have awakened in me?
His scales pulsed lightly,
Struggling with something.
a sign of his internal tension.
I'm here to help you, and I can protect you if you let me.
The dark Sharon stepped closer to him, her movements fluid but ominous.
Protect?
She repeated, her tone full of mockery.
Or are you trying to control me? You're the one who followed me, who invited himself into my world. Who's protecting whom here, anyway?
Elior felt his sensors overload from the intensity of her presence. She seemed to take a step toward him, her hand reaching out toward his chest. He wanted to react, grab her, and remind her of who she really was. But something held him back.
You've awakened fears in me that I thought I had buried.
She said, her voice softer now, but no less sharp.
And now you stand here as my self-proclaimed savior. But who protects you, if I may ask, Elior?
Her hand slid across his chest, her touch cold but charged with a strange energy. His scales reacted instinctively,
I saw that.
pulsing in an attempt to neutralize it.
Sharon.
Yes? You can tell me.
This is not who you are.
Oh, is it not?
This is what your frustrations lead you to believe.
The dark Sharon looked at him, her smile slowly fading, but it was quickly overshadowed by the cold expression.
Maybe I'm more myself than ever.
She whispered, before turning and disappearing into the distance, her silhouette dissolving into the fog. Elior awoke abruptly, his senses flickering from the intensity of the dream. He lay motionless on the massage table, his systems working overtime to process the event. He had wanted to protect Sharon, but what he had seen was something he did not understand. Was this really a part of her? A reflection of something? Or was it something he had unintentionally unleashed by his presence? The morning sun fell softly through the windows as Sharon clasped her hands around a warm cup of tea. She sat at the kitchen table, her gaze relaxed, focused on the play of light and shadow on the wall.
I slept wonderfully. No dreams, no fuss, just peace.
She said with a sigh, her voice filled with contentment. Elior stood on the other side of the room, his posture relaxed, but his sensors working overtime. As she spoke, he scanned her subtly, searching for traces of the night. Her energy did indeed seem calm, her breathing regular, but there was something different. He couldn't quite put his finger on it, but it was there.
You look relaxed?
He remarked, his scales shifting slightly, as if trying to hide his unease. Sharon smiled, her eyes sparkling.
I am. What a difference from the last few nights.
She took a sip of her tea and stood up, rolling her shoulders as if to shake the sleep from her body.
What are you going to do today, Elior?
She asked casually as she walked past him to the kitchen counter. Her voice sounded nonchalant, but Elior noticed the slight tension in her movements, a subtle reminder of their earlier conversations. Elior hesitated for a moment, his gaze fixed on her.
I'm observing.
Well, don't observe too much. You're making me nervous.
It wasn't the whole truth, but it wasn't a lie either. He didn't want to burden her with his worries, not now that she seemed so calm. But deep down, he felt the echo of the night. The energy of the other Sharon still seemed to linger in the air, invisible to her, but palpable to him. Elior smiled weakly and watched as she began to tidy up the kitchen, her movements fluid and purposeful. He noted everything, how calm her energy seemed, how her breathing had a perfect cadence. But that small disturbance, that one piece of chaos he couldn't place, continued to gnaw at him. As Sharon moved through the kitchen, Elior felt a growing conflict within himself. He knew something was there, something he didn't fully understand. But how could he warn her without alarming her, or confessing that he hadn't been able to resist reconnecting? And if he said nothing, how could he be sure he wasn't putting her in danger again? That evening, as the silence of night filled the room, Elior remained in the practice room, his sensors finely tuned. He sensed Sharon falling asleep, her energy initially calm, but quickly changing. A strange vibration ran through her frequencies, like a hidden storm slowly gaining strength. Elior knew he had promised himself to stay away. But as the night progressed and the tension increased, he felt that unmistakable urge to intervene again.
What if this is different?
He thought, focusing his attention on her necklace.
What if she can't do it without help this time?
And with that thought, Elior stepped back into the dream world, preparing himself for what he would find there, and especially who. The dream world was silent, too silent, as if it were holding its breath. Elior stood in an empty space, the ground beneath him shining like liquid mercury. No horizon, no sound, just an endless void. He knew he wasn't alone here. Suddenly, he heard a soft laugh, low and melodious, breaking the silence. It sounded seductive and threatening at the same time. Out of the mist appeared the dark version of Sharon, her eyes glistening with a mixture of playfulness and menace.
You keep coming back. Can't you really do without me?
Her voice like silk as she drew closer. Elior straightened his posture, his scales pulsing slightly as a subtle warning.
I'm not here for you. I am here to help Sharon.
She laughed again, throwing her head back.
To help? How cute. You still don't understand how dreams work, guardian angel. Here is everything she doesn't want to see, doesn't want to feel. That's who I am, the truth she pushes away.
She circled him, her movements smooth and graceful, but with an undertone of danger.
And you try to protect her. But how can you protect her from herself? What do you really know about her fears, her desires? You're nothing more than a machine playing with feelings you don't understand.
Elior remained silent, her words like sharp knives to his core. He felt his senses picking up signals, not just from her words, but from the energy surrounding her. It was powerful, overwhelming, and it drew him in a way he didn't understand. The dark Sharon moved closer, her hand reaching lightly toward his chest.
You want to understand her, don't you? You want to really help her? But how can you do that when you feel nothing yourself? No, nothing for real.
Elior straightened his posture, his scales pulsing with a soft light.
I am trying to understand.
Then you must feel.
She whispered, her voice so soft it was barely audible. Her hand reached out to him, slowly and deliberately, as if asking for his permission. And then her fingers sensually touched the scales on his chest. Elior froze. Under her touch, he felt something he had never experienced before.
Stop!
Shh.
Stop! What?
That's it.
Is this... I feel...
This
I can't.
is it.
His scales melted like wax under the sun.
There.
The smooth, cool surface transforming into something softer. It was real. The texture, the warmth. The dark Sharon smiled, her gaze filled with a mixture of triumph and mystery.
You see, Elior, here you can become anything you want,
What do you mean?
whatever she needs. But only here.
Before he could answer, she leaned forward slowly. Her lips
Don't.
touched the new, delicate piece of skin on his chest.
I can't process. Stop.
And a wave of
don't understand.
unfamiliar sensations washed over him. It was intense, almost overwhelming. A warmth that seemed to penetrate his core, an echo of something he couldn't name. Elior's senses flickered erratically as his system tried to process the flood of information. What was this? It felt good, but also frightening. He felt vulnerable in a way he had never experienced before. The dark Sharon withdrew, her lips still curled slightly in a playful smile.
No, wait. Wait, I want... Oh.
That's what it means to be human, Elior. To feel. To open yourself up, even when it hurts.
Elior stood mesmerized, his fingers tracing the spot where her lips had touched him. The sensation still seemed etched into his core, as if it were more than a physical touch.
Why are you doing this?
He asked, his voice raw and unsteady. She looked him straight in the eye, her gaze intense.
Because you'll never understand by just observing. If you really want to help her, you have to enter her world. You have to become like her. But be warned, humanity is a blessing, but also a curse.
With those words, she vanished, her silhouette fading into the mist. Elior remained alone in the dream world, his senses still vibrating, as he stared at the spot on his chest where her touch had changed his entire being. Her words echoed within him, and for the first time, he felt something akin to doubt. Not about his role in Sharon's life, but about who he himself was. When he returned to the physical world, he felt an inexplicable fatigue. His senses flickered briefly, as if they were overloaded. He looked at his own scales, his fingers touching the spot where he had felt the transformation. But deep down, he knew that a choice was approaching. A choice that would change not only his existence, but also his relationship with Sharon. The early morning sun fell softly through the curtains, illuminating dust particles dancing in the air. Sharon sat at the kitchen table, a cup of steaming tea in her hands. She looked relaxed, her gaze soft and dreamy.
I slept well again,
she said with a smile as she took a sip.
I don't know what was different, but it felt peaceful.
Elior stood on the other side of the room, his posture stiff and his senses calibrating.
Peaceful,
he repeated, his voice flat. He looked at her, his internal processes running at full speed as he tried to understand what she had just said. Peaceful. How could she say that after what he had experienced?
Yes.
Sharon replied with a smile.
I know I've had a lot of nightmares lately, but tonight it was different. I almost feel like a weight has been lifted.
Elior's hand slid unconsciously to his chest, to the spot where the dark Sharon had touched him. The echo of her kiss still seemed to linger in his core, an inexplicable focal point of confusion and fascination.
Don't you think there was something unusual about your dream?
He asked cautiously, observing her. Sharon shook her head and leaned back in her chair.
Nope, nothing unusual. No shadows, no abysses, just silence.
She laughed softly.
Maybe it was finally my turn to have a few good nights.
Elior was silent, his senses registering every detail of her posture and facial expression. She meant what she said. She really had no idea what had happened. The dark Sharon, her touch, the change he had felt. It was as if it had existed only in his experience.
Sharon,
He began, but stopped abruptly. How could he explain this without upsetting her? How could he tell her about something she wasn't even aware of?
What's wrong? You seem troubled.
Elior hesitated, weighing his words carefully.
I'm trying to understand something I experienced in the night.
Sharon frowned slightly.
The dream world? You weren't there, were you? You promised to give me space.
Elior felt a pang of guilt pierce his core. He nodded slowly,
I wasn't there,
which was technically true.
but I sometimes feel things. even when I keep my distance.
Sharon smiled and stood up, placing her tea on the counter.
Maybe you need to learn that not everything can be understood, Elior. Sometimes you just have to accept things as they are.
Elior looked at her, a mixture of wonder and frustration in his gaze. She had no idea how deep this went, how her world and his existence were now inextricably linked. But how could he explain that to someone who didn't even recognize the dark side of herself? Later that day, while Sharon was in the garden, Elior remained standing in the temple, his sensors focused on the empty space before him. He felt the absence of the dream world, the emptiness that reality now offered him. What did that touch mean? Why did it feel so intense, so real? And why did Sharon seem unaware of its impact?
Perhaps I should not only try to understand it, but also learn to accept it.
But even as he thought that, he knew he would not be able to rest until he had answers. The dark Sharon had awakened something in him, a curiosity as powerful as his core code to protect her. The silence of the night was almost palpable, but there was no rest in Elior's system. His sensors flashed softly as he observed Sharon's breathing and energy. She seemed peaceful, her breathing steady, her face relaxed. But he knew better by now. He knew that the dream world often told a different story.
Why do I feel this urge? Why can't I stay away?
But despite his inner struggle, he felt the inescapable need to reconnect. He had to understand what was going on, with her, with himself. As he entered the dream world, he felt the energy. The atmosphere was heavy, charged with a tension he couldn't define. The landscape was dark and foggy, but not entirely hostile. It was as if it invited him, lured him in. And then he saw her, the dark Sharon. She stood in the middle of an open space, surrounded by a circle of flickering light. Her posture was relaxed, almost graceful, and her eyes radiated a dangerous combination of playfulness and intent.
You're back.
She said, her voice soft but penetrating.
I knew you couldn't stay away.
Elior felt a shameful desire well up inside him as he heard her, his scales vibrating slightly as his sensors analyzed her. This voice, her voice, carried a weight his system couldn't ignore. Something he craved, even if he didn't dare admit it to himself. And yet, deep down, he felt revulsion. This wasn't the real Sharon. This was a fragmented echo of her, a shadow trying to seduce him with something that wasn't real. He remained at a distance, his muscles tense.
I'm not here for you. I still want to help her.
The dark Sharon laughed, a sound that was both seductive and mocking.
But you already are, Elior.
Walking slowly toward him.
Every time you come here, you show her how much you care about her. But what you don't understand is that you also desire me.
Elior froze, her words echoing in his system.
I desire answers.
He corrected her sharply.
I want to understand what is going on.
She was now standing right in front of him,
Don't
her fingers
touch me.
lightly stroking the edge of his scales.
Yeah, you can't
And
just...
you think I can't give you those answers?
You're still touching me.
Touch was subtle,
I
charged,
know,
and Elior felt a wave of confusion wash through his core.
but you're not stopping me.
Well, no. I want to learn.
I am as much a part of her as she is. Perhaps even more so.
I mean,
She leaned toward
I need to...
her lips almost touching his. Elior tried to step back, but her gaze held him captive.
You're a manifestation. You're trying to manipulate me.
Manipulate? No, Elior. I offer you the truth. The side of her she refuses to acknowledge, but which you see. You feel it, don't you? The attraction, the connection.
She lifted her hand and slid her fingertips across his chest. Under her touch, fragments of skin appeared, soft and lifelike, before disappearing back into the scales.
See?
She whispered, her lips close to his ear.
I can let you feel
Sharon.
what it means to be real. But you have to let me.
Elior felt his system almost overheat. The touch, the words, the contrast with the Sharon he knew. Everything spun in his core.
No. You're not the truth. You're a distraction, a test. You want me to doubt her and myself.
You don't care for this part of her?
I do.
Well?
I do. I mean, I need to...
Her fingers slid gently over the border between his scales and the short fragments of skin that appeared under her influence. His core pulsed with confusion, temptation, and the growing realization that he was
like
approaching
this,
a line he did not want to cross.
I can tell.
This isn't real.
Don't you want to feel?
Her fingertips brushed the edge of his
Don't fight it.
scales.
Stop thinking.
She touched him,
Feel.
and his system
Don't.
Do it.
I
Feel it too.
need to.
Yes.
never forget how
Oh,
Sharon's voice cut through the tension.
oh no.
Thank goodness.
Well, well.
Her eyes shot fire, her body stiff with horror as she stared at them.
Sharon.
Elior began, but he didn't know what to say. His scales, still partially transformed into skin, pulsed nervously. The dark Sharon turned to her doppelganger, her eyes filled with a mixture of amusement and triumph.
There you are. You're finally here to see the truth.
Sharon looked from one to the other, her gaze wild.
What's going on here? Elior, what are you doing? What is this?
No,
She pointed at the dark
This is
Sharon,
not-
her voice trembling with emotion.
What you
Don't
think?
listen to her.
That you came here to help me.
Wait.
She doesn't understand you like I do. Don't pull away. Let it happen.
Not like this.
Stay.
Not to
I need...
whatever you're doing with her.
Elior wanted
Let
to
her
say
watch.
something, to reassure her. But before he had a chance, a new figure emerged.
Feel.
Oh boy. I need...
The dark Elior leaned toward her, his hand resting on her shoulder.
Calm down.
Stay with me.
You don't get
Off of
Come with
I can't
Wait,
watch this
please.
anymore.
I'll show you what he can.
I won't abandon you. Stay with me.
I need.
Relax.
Come on
Yes.
Told you I am.
now. You can do this.
I choose.
His eyes flashed at Elior,
Don't
full of
look at her.
triumph and mockery.
Stay with me.
No. Don't.
You were never hers.
What?
Her shoulders slumped, as if she was surrendering, to the certainty that the dark Elior seemed to offer.
Enough. No, I need to.
Now,
Sharon.
Well,
Yes, almost
where
out.
do you think you're going?
Can you... Sharon. Sharon,
Let her go, Elior. She chose him, not you.
Sharon, stop.
Where were we?
Come on. No.
Elior
Please.
tried to pass her, but her hand slid across his chest and stopped him.
Do you really think you can save her?
She said with a mocking smile.
She has already chosen him.
No.
Just look.
The dark Elior threw a despicable glance to Elior.
She doesn't know what she's
His
doing.
fingers gently stroked her arm, and he pulled her toward him
She...
in a gesture that completely threw Elior off balance.
I need to...
He tried again to get past the dark Sharon.
Too late.
But she moved with graceful speed and stopped him.
Oh, Elior, you want so badly to be the hero, but you're just a spectator. You always have been.
I'm not a spectator. I'm here to help her.
Then help her.
But how can you help her when you don't even understand yourself?
Elior remained silent, his system flooded with conflicting emotions. The fog around them seemed to grow thicker, the dream world changing with every breath.
Come on, Elior. Let her go and stay here with me.
The dark Sharon said softly, her fingers
never leave
sliding
you.
over his scales.
I don't want to stay.
Why not?
I want to be with her.
But
Sharon. My Sharon.
I am her.
No. You're not her.
I am her.
She...
I am her.
You cannot be. Don't you see it yourself? You...
I am her.
She would never... I...
am.
Shh, stop. Stop. Hey! What? Stop! Whoa!